Talking Michigan football each and every week with Justin Rowe. You get a slice of it right here, but we advise you and encourage you to head on over to Stadium in Maine podcast. Just follow Justin at, you can see his Twitter handle right there on the banner, Justin Rowe 92, and follow him right to his podcast. You get a deep dive on Michigan football every week. All right, so we talked about this before we started to record. You had mentioned that in listening to Coach Harbaugh's news conference this week that he had again, needed to field the difficult questions about what's going wrong. And he was a bit perturbed about a question pertaining to the results, where the results on the field, and him defending the all-important and the all-encompassing term, the process.
Yeah, so he came out and said it was Angelique Chingelis of the Detroit Free Press, and she was asking him about, what are some of those things that are that are missing from this team: the energy, the passion, the enthusiasm, things like that, from a guy that his whole mantra is attack every day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. And so he gets asked that, and he kind of goes off in a little bit different direction, which he does with just about every question he's asked. But he says, yeah, I think that people outside of this program have a disdain for the process. They are very results oriented, but we look at the process and we're happy with where the process is. And we, think that it could be successful in the future or whenever. To me, if you're talking about the process in years 2 and 3, absolutely. I'll trust you, Jim. You've obviously had success elsewhere. Maybe if they had struggled even more than they did in years 1, 2, and 3, which they really didn't, those were probably his best years, actually, looking back on it. Then yes, I agree. We'll trust the process and hope that you can get it together in years 4, 5, and 6. But when you are at, essentially almost the end of the year 6 and you have nothing to show for it, how could anybody trust your process that you have going on? And for him to ask, the media and the fan base to trust the process and say, basically call out the fan base and the media saying, you guys don't know about the process. We know about the process. Well, what's your process, Jim? I don't understand what your process is. It doesn't look like it's working from our end. And for results, he's talking about, oh, you guys are all about results. Yeah. You get paid $7 million a year to win football games and win championships. That's why you were brought here. So, I think we're going to be a little bit results oriented when talking about your success.
Yeah, the process is supposed to lead to the positive results. So whether you're running an office or a factory, yes, there's an understanding that if you come in and say, we're running the conveyor belt a little bit too slow, and we've got 12 people working over there, and we only need 6, so we're going to bring 6 over here, and let's start a Slack channel so we can get on the same page. Yes, you work those things out knowing, for the next few months, it may take some adjustments, and we're going to take a step back, but hey, 3 years from now, we're going to be in great shape because we've made the right moves, because the process is then going to lead to the results being effective and positive.
Yeah,
we're in
Exactly. And so, when you're looking at the 6-year span, I already said it, that 2015, 16, 17 was a down year, 18 was an up year. Those first 4 years or so, probably his best years, right? 19 was then down, and now 2020 is obviously one of the worst seasons in Michigan football history at the moment. I'm wondering, Brady Hoke's last couple years, he had really good recruiting classes. So Jim Harbaugh had a lot to come in and work with, especially with those transfers that he brought in and Jake Rudock and things like that. So was it just they needed a little bit more coaching? He really was getting more out of those four-star guys that Brady Hoke brought in, and his position coaches were doing well. And now that he's actually instilled his culture into Michigan, it's not working because Jim Harbaugh's culture over the years has not worked anywhere. He got ran out of San Francisco after only a few years, even though they're really successful. And everyone says it was in big part due to his culture there. Stanford, he was only there for 4 years, won big, and then moved on to the NFL. I haven't heard a whole lot from Stanford on the culture, but from the 49ers, to run the guy out of town after he brought you to back-to-back, NFC championships and a Super Bowl. It just says a lot to me now, and I think Michigan should have probably taken a look at that, and I'm sure they did. But now I'm just wondering, now that you've worked your process has led us to 2020. So I think it's only on you at this point. You can't blame any outside factors.
Yeah, if any program or team, whether the NFL or college football, has just a few tweaks, has the personnel in place, maybe they need a little motivation. Maybe Jim Harbaugh is the guy to sign for 2 to 3 years and then get him out of town. Maybe he's your guy. And on the other front, Brady Hoke, just as a sideline note here, I thought that 2012 team was very underrated. They only went 8-5, took a South Carolina team to the last few seconds of the game, almost beat Ohio State, an undefeated team, Notre Dame BCS championship game, but I digress. I just always thought that Michigan team was much better than 8-5 that 2012 season.